Well, I'm guessing you're here because you saw the title and you're like, oh my God, she has the answers. And guess what? I'd like to think that I do. I've done the research for you. And so these 6 steps, I'm not going to say they're simple. I'm not going to say they're easy. I'm just saying, hey, these are the 6 characteristics to get you to see your goal through, to see yourself at the top of whatever it is that you want to do. And I decided I wanted to do this video because honestly, I'm mad. I'm annoyed that I see so much wasted potential amongst my friends, amongst my loved ones, just people that I see on the internet who are just selling themselves short. And it's pissing me off. Honestly, I'm just like, why? And also, I'm just probably projecting because I know that I'm not at my full potential yet, but I am working really, really hard to get there. And I would like to see everybody around me just thrive and actually go and perceive like their most deepest desires. You know, the only rule here is don't hurt anyone, don't hurt anything, then do whatever pleases your heart. You know, that's just the rule. Just don't hurt anyone, don't hurt anything. Make sure it's legal. So with that being said, I do want to get some things out of the way. The things that I'm going to tell you today is nothing that I've invented. First of all, I didn't invent anything. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I am just summarizing the resources that I've seen throughout the literature, that I've had the time to read, that I've had the time to see and put into practice. And because I feel like it can help you. If I maybe just simplify some things, maybe it'll get through. Maybe if you've heard these things before, I'm pretty sure you have. But maybe you just need to listen to it from me. And I think that this is the key thing here, that I see value in me speaking these words to you. Why? Because maybe you know me. Maybe you identify with me. Maybe you're a woman. Maybe you're a Latina. Maybe you're a person who's a millennial and you're just trying to figure things out when we can't afford houses, when the cost of living is just going up, when you're wondering, hey, I'm nearing 30. Am I going to have kids or not? Like, sometimes you just need a little breather and you just need someone to, hey, just give me like a quick run through, right? I feel like our generation specifically, we grew up on, what are those Sparks notes, Cliff notes, those things, you know? Like, did we all really read all the books in AP English? I don't think so, right? So, again, I'm just here to offer the resource to, you know, I would like to target my generation, but hey, if you sit outside the millennial group and this is helping you, great. I believe it helps anyone, but I can only speak from my experience, and my experience is that of being a millennial. It's of that being a woman. It's of being a Latina woman. It's about being a woman without children. It's about a woman who works full time and still pursues her goals. So I want you to be super aware that the stuff you're going to hear is nothing new. Okay? You've probably heard it before, like I said. I didn't invent anything. But I have practiced all of these things and I have accomplished some pretty awesome things because I decided to follow, you know, these steps. So without further ado, let's get started. So I would say the step number 1 is to decide what and why. So decide what and decide why. Decide what. I know it sounds simple. You're like, come on, Chantal, I'm here because I already have that goal in mind. But you'd be surprised to know that a lot of people, their goal is to have a goal. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever been in that position where you're like, well, you know, right now I'm at a crossroads and I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if what I'm doing right now is what I want to keep doing, you know? Or the one thing that I stopped doing, maybe I didn't want to stop doing that. Maybe I still want to look further back into that. Or maybe I've changed my mind. I want to change my career. Whatever it is, right? But sometimes you just need to sit down and really think about what is it that you want out of life. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that I had to do that over the summer. And so this is why I'm talking about this now, because I really had to ask that question to myself. What is it that I want to do and why I want to do it? And so why is it important? So once you've just set, you're like, what is it that I want to do? Okay, so I'm going to throughout this, I'm going to use the example of this podcast, of this YouTube channel, and how is it that I sit here in front of you today? Okay, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't something that I just decided yesterday, hey, I'm going to post a video and I'm going to do this podcast. No, 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 no. You know, when you guys saw it, I had everybody working on this for months. So just know that it's going to take time, and a lot of the work is not going to be seen by a lot of people, and that's okay. Okay. So I decided that my what was going to be to create this channel, create this podcast. But I've also used it in smaller goals. And this is the thing, that these tools that I'm going to give you can be used for small goals and for big goals. Okay. So I'm going to use a couple of examples here. My big goal, let's say this podcast, right? Doing this podcast, doing this YouTube channel is a lot of work. It requires that I plan my content, that I do my research, that I video, that I record, that I edit, that I make sure the sound is coming through. I also had to learn a lot about, the basics of marketing. I had to, just really do my research for it. So decide what. So I decided my what. My what was going to be my podcast and my YouTube channel. Decide my why. Now, this is probably one of the top 3 most important things that you have to ask yourself when it comes to, why am I putting so much effort into this? Why is it that today's Friday night, it's Friday night before Halloween, I could be out at a club, I could be out grabbing a drink, I could have reached to some friends, I could have gone and seen my niece and my nephews. There's so many other things I could be doing right now, but what I'm doing right now is talking alone in my living room to a camera and just trying to get this message through, right? So why am I doing that? Well, when I started thinking about what services could I provide with a podcast, like, why is it important that people listen to me? And honestly, it's because I think I've been very fortunate to live different types of experiences in liminal spaces. So I've had opportunities that if textbook me were there, maybe those wouldn't be things that I would have been expected to experience. Whether that was because I'm a woman, whether that's because I'm Latina, was that because I'm fat, was that because, I grew up in assisted living, whatever it was, right? I just had to really, I feel like those experiences can bring something to your life. And now, like, it's the simple fact that I've had to plan this video, and I'm already thinking like, hey, maybe this will like be the time that it finally hits them. Or, maybe I am, the third person that's told you this, and I'm only just one more person on the list. And I hope that you're on the journey to find the person or the thing that gives you the message to achieve your goals, to reach your full potential. Whether that's me or someone else, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that I'm a part of that journey, okay? Maybe you'll remember this. You're like, Chantal said this, and, she was right. And it wouldn't be me being right, honestly. It would be the literature that I read and the things that I put to practice. Because, again, I am not inventing anything, okay? So why is your why important? So your why needs to be so big that it trumps motivation. Because when we first start, it's super exciting, right? Like when I first started thinking about my podcast, I was like, oh my God, it's the big idea. It's like, I could visualize it. And for me, like, first it's super exciting. And what got me motivated was that excitement, but what happens when the excitement dies, when the motivation is no longer there? Well, then you have to lean back to your why. When things get rough and you're like, oh my God, why am I putting up with this? And you're like, oh yeah, well, for me, it's going to be because I've built this from the ground up. I've been consistent. My audience, whether it's 5 or thousands of you, expect me to be here and deliver something. They're counting on me, right? And I deserve it to myself, because I deserve to see myself achieve these goals that I set for myself. I think that I'm worth it, and mostly that I'm capable. I really love just to prove to myself, rather than anybody else, but that like I was determined to do that. And my why always helps me. Whether that's a selfish why, always the why that's going to have the greatest impact is the why that affects the most people. So for me, yes, my cause could be selfish. I don't see this producing this podcast or this channel. I don't see it as like, oh my God, an extra amount of job, and oh my God, I have to go home and still do this. No, I'm excited. I had a full day's work. I've had a busy day. I've had a emotionally totally weak. Like I feel now it's just been, like a cycle, and I am trying to break that. But that's where I'm at, and so I love that I came here. I get to set up the lighting. I'm still trying to figure out these angles, what's best for me when I'm not crouched out. Am I too close to the microphone? Am I too far? I'm still trying to figure all of these things out, right? But that's part of it. That's part of my journey, and I'm super excited that it gets to be a part of it. But yeah, so my why for doing this podcast is just to hopefully bring out a story that you can relate to and makes you feel a little bit less alone. Hopefully some of the conversations make you think. Some of the things may make you realize some things. And again, just use me as either an example or a warning. That's what I'm here for, guys. So that you don't have to put yourself through the mud, because I've already done that. So I'm trying to just prevent you the headache of starting something and restarting. This is why I'm giving you these tools, because I got tired of restarting, and I still have to restart many things, okay? But right now, my whole thing is this, okay? So again, point number 1 is decide your what and decide your why. Number 2 is to let go of limiting beliefs. And so now I'm going to look it up here just so you guys know, so I can give you a bit more. But limiting beliefs are basically those beliefs. Let's see here. So I pulled up an article just because I wanted to give you a bit more concise of what limiting beliefs were. But it's basically that negative self-talk, whether it comes from you or are limited beliefs imposed from other people being projected onto you. So here are going to be 13 examples of what limiting beliefs can be. So the thing is, identify the limiting belief, right? So it says here, yep, as with anything, we need to name the problem first. Take a few minutes and dedicate them to identifying your limiting beliefs. So for this one, it suggests that you get your pen and paper out and write out the biggest limiting beliefs. It's a strange feeling to see negative thoughts about yourself by yourself on paper. Okay, so limiting beliefs are all of the things that tell you I can't, I don't, I'm not, I've tried, and it's too late, they're better, I don't deserve, I'm not worthy, there's someone better, I've been told, my loved one says I am, that's stupid. Okay, and this is here. Do any of these sound familiar? These are all the sentences that came from a fixed mindset with all the conviction of beliefs that someone may have been holding on to since they were in diapers. The antidote to almost all of these limiting beliefs is try and try again. Prove your limiting beliefs wrong wherever they come from. It even gives you a guide here of how to overcome your limiting beliefs, and I'll probably set the link here either on the description or on my link tree just so you guys can take a look at this. Yeah, the thing about limiting beliefs, like it says here, is that they are normalized, right? So for example, I have a limiting belief could be I'm not a morning person. And if you listen to the podcast, you know that I wake up really early every day. But I've never told myself I'm not a morning person, right? One thing I do tell myself is that I'm not a runner. And I wave that flag every time I'm at the gym, and they're like, oh my God, you work so hard. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not a runner. I'm not a runner. And one of my goals for 2023 is to change that mindset and maybe get into some light running, maybe do a 5K or something. We'll figure that out. I'm working on my goals for next year already. I'm planning up the rest of the year for content and things like that. But I'm so excited because November is here, which means it's vision board time. We're going to start visualizing, and I'll probably show you guys how that looks like for me. Also to be accountable on my goals and to, see these practices to the test. Like, that's what I want you to see, that it can happen. And you're going to watch it with me. So it's going to be really fun. Okay. So limiting beliefs. I'm not a runner. I'm not the healthy type. I don't go to the gym. I can't eat that. Whatever those limiting beliefs that you have about your goal, you need to let go of, right? So, for example, when it came to this podcast, I was like, well, I don't have anything useful to say, was one of my limiting beliefs. And I was like, wait, I feel like one of my own pet peeves about myself is that I constantly feel like I interrupt people and interject people because I'm so eager to tell them how my story relates to the story that they're saying. I don't do it to be rude, but I'm just like, oh my God, no, look, I can relate. So instead of doing that, I was like, oh my God, well, you can have a podcast where like nobody can shut you up and you're also not interrupting anybody. So win-win, homegirl. And what was the other thing? This is stupid. That last one that we saw in that list, right? Who doesn't think like, I don't know, this is a new form. This is a new economy, right? What I'm doing now. I still have my 9 to 5, but that doesn't mean that I'm not like looking into, other sources of income, whether it includes this or something else, right? Like now I'm learning all these other techniques and I'm trying to see what skills are transferable now. I was like, hey, if this doesn't work out, well, I'm learning a lot about audio. I'm learning a lot about video editing. So, like, where can I go with this, right? If it isn't this, maybe I can put it somewhere else. So, the next thing. So, once you've decided your what, you decide your why. You're like, okay. Well, for me, it was like, I want to start this podcast. Why? Because I think it's going to help people and it also helps me create that creative mind flow, create these creative juices, get that creative side of me still developing and stimulated. I'm just thinking about money, right? Anyways, and then you have to let go of limiting beliefs. That's really, really important because those are the things that are going to stop you from even getting started, honestly. If I would have listened to all the negative voices in my head of like, hey, Chantal, well, maybe you're not at the weight you want to be in front of camera. You don't know how to video edit yet. I still don't have the skills or the knowledge to know what music I can have playing in the background. Where do I, where are the royalty-free music libraries? Which is the best one? Which is the legal one? And but I am developing my craft, so it's a lot of fun for me. And it's because I have a really determined why. And I'm still motivated. I think I'm still definitely in the honeymoon phase. I would definitely say that. Sorry, guys. I keep watching my watch just because, there's a lot of stuff going on in the family and things like that. So I just have to be very, very aware of things going on around me. So yeah, those limiting beliefs, I couldn't be listening to that. And I think that the reason why I didn't start sooner was because I was still working to getting through those limiting beliefs. I was still getting through, is this really going to happen? Like, is this really something I want to jump myself into? And do you really see the bigger picture? Because I needed to see it more than a podcast. I just needed to visualize the whole thing for me, for it to work. And so I said, okay, I am going to go ahead and I'm just going to start. Okay. So you have to decide what, why, let go of those limiting beliefs. And then for the third one, you got to start where you are, wherever that is, you just have to start. Because if you wait for the perfect moment, that perfect moment is never going to arrive. Life is going to pass in front of you. And then what did you do? Where you're like, well, I raised my children and I had a good time, but like, there's all this other stuff I wanted to do that I never found the right time. And let me tell you, that's because the right time's never going to come. And you need to sit down with that and decide how much longer you want to put your life on hold. And when I mean start where you are, I really, 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 really mean that wholeheartedly. I, for example, where I was starting, where I was at, well, I have some background in public speaking, interviewing. I have had different experiences with it. You know, like I was in the yearbook. I was in journalism for a minute there, where I developed all these different types of skills. I am the master of none, but I think I know the basics of many things to get me through this. If not, you wouldn't be able to see this. So very basic things about maybe lighting, or the quarter of third, like the rule of thirds on the camera, or whatever it is, right? Like those are things that I still need to polish off, but at least I have the basics. At least you're able to see this and you're consuming this content. So again, the perfect time is never going to be here. When I say really mean start right now, is look at where I started, okay? Where I am at. I started with, right now, this is being recorded on an iPhone 12 Pro. This microphone that you see here is a $50 Amazon mic, because I was like, okay, I want to get started my podcast and I want to start with the least amount of investment possible. That was my initial thought, okay? The least amount of investment possible, just to see how it goes. Now I'm super passionate about this and I'm all in. But in the beginning, I was like, I have a great phone, costs over $1,000, and it takes a pretty good shot. And I was like, and I have this MacBook that I don't know if I can revive, but I want this so bad that I'm gonna dig up this laptop from my closet. It had been sitting in my closet for 2-3 years now, and I hadn't even touched it. But that's where I was at. Where I was at is I didn't have a working laptop. Well, I had my husband's PC, but ew, no, just kidding. It's just I'm very familiar with the Mac system, so I'm just, But anyways, and at this time, it's just not the right time for me to like invest in a new laptop. I'm not doing enough. At that point, I wasn't doing enough. It's like I was going to school and like I really saw this as a hobby. So what was the point of doing that investment? I just wanted to start where I was at with what I had. And so the first things that I started doing was I started recording myself in my car and just audio notes, just talking to myself and seeing like, oh, would someone be laughing at that? And I would hear myself back and maybe put it in different tones, different speeds, just because it's really awkward to hear yourself, at least for me. And so I was like, okay, I think I have something here. I think that like maybe if it makes me trip, it can make other people trip. So that's what I started. I started getting more confident in speaking just by speaking to my phone and thinking like, okay, breathe through, speak a little bit slower. I was again, because I am the master of none of these skills, but I do have several skills. I've done theater, I've done dance, I've tried screen acting, and apparently I have a very active face for screen acting. So I'm in YouTube because I don't have to act here. I just have to have my most expressive face on camera and it can pick it up and you guys will know exactly what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. So I knew that there's different things that I need to, for example, maybe open my mouth a little more so that I can slow down when I speak, because I can speak really fast. So that's where I started. And, I set myself a timeline and I was like, I'm just going to release it by this point and I just got to get started. Now we're 4 videos in. The worst videos are already behind me, which is like the good thing. I wanted this month to pass by so fast because I'm like, the worst stuff is already done. I'm only going to get better. I can only learn how to edit better, faster, how to balance off the audio, how to set those intros, outros, thumbnails, all that stuff is only going to get better. And that is so exciting to me. I'm just like, oh my God, yes. Like I started where I was and I still run with the same equipment. I revived my 2012 Pro, which if you haven't heard my podcast, I talk about it every single episode because I'm so proud of this baby and so proud of myself for bringing it back from the dead. So, right, Halloween theme, get it? But now we're here. Okay, so we have decided why, we let go of our limiting beliefs and we have just started, right? So, in order to get started, you can start where you are. I started doing research. I did not immediately start recording those things. I started doing different things to get me. I was like, okay, I've set my goal, but I gotta really start getting that wheel going. And one of the things that I kept seeing in the books that I've read, and that I'm talking about The Power of Now, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I'm talking about The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, The Secret, The Magic, um, Girl Stop Apologizing. These books that I've just read for a long time, and some of them I've reread them. I'm working on Atomic Habits right now, but one of the recurring things is that you must become obsessed and you must realize what a priority is. Okay, so this goal needs to be your priority. There's no other way of achieving goals efficiently, whether that's with time and action, than to make it a priority. Because when you make it a priority, you're going to research the out of whatever subject you're going to do, and you're going to be like, oh my God, this is the way that I'm going to get from point A to point B. Okay. Now, from point A to point B, it can look like this, and that's fine. But we need to make it a priority, and we need to become obsessed. That's what I put here. Become obsessed and prioritize. I don't mean this lightly. You must become obsessed. If you are not prioritizing or obsessing, you're not ready to achieve that one thing. And if you listen to the second episode of the podcast, I'm just going to keep plugging my podcast here because, again, this is my marketing technique, guys. I got to plug it in, right? I am my own marketer, producer, achiever, director, all of those things. Girl, I'm a girl boss. But in my weight loss episode, I did say that I don't think that someone who isn't ready or prioritizes weight loss is going to be able to do it. Remember, I tried 20 billion times, and it wasn't until I prioritized it that I actually lost the weight. So, I've lost over 150 pounds. I think I can say something about that. I've also been able to air this channel in less than 90 days. So, done that. When I moved to London, my goal was to find a 4-degree program. A 4-year degree program, like a full degree program. I didn't want to be a student abroad. I wanted to be like a full degree accredited program overseas. I found it and I went because I became obsessed with it and I prioritized that. Now, when I prioritized this podcast, my husband can tell you that I was just like working so hard on myself. I was like, I need to make sure that I get through these books because this is what I want to show people, that like I'm knowledgeable. I know what I'm talking about because I've lived it, but also because I've studied it. And I'm saving you that. I know a lot of you don't want to read these books. You'll maybe check out the link. Maybe you'll have it in your Amazon cart. Maybe you'll even buy it. But maybe it's not the right time for you to read it. You're like, no, Chantal, give me the cliff notes and that's good enough for me. And hey, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe this is the way that you're supposed to receive that message. You don't have to read the book. I chose to read it because that's the kind of person I am. But maybe this video is enough for you. And I'm happy that that's the case. That's amazing. I really am. So you must become obsessed. And what do I mean by obsession? What I mean is that when you have free time, you're using that time to get closer to where you want to be. So for example, like I mentioned earlier, I could be out partying, but that's not going to get me closer to the version of myself that I want to see, right? So the version that I want to see in myself is like, I want to keep developing this craft, and making this video is going to do that. I'm also participating on a bigger scale challenge about this video. So that'll be a story for another day, which I hope to one day tell, because I feel like this is a great beginning to something amazing. And it might sound corny, but guess what? Dreaming is free, and so I'm just going to take advantage of that free thing. But yeah, so when you have free time, you're going to use it to either develop that skill or, schedule that time. And free time, I'm not saying like, for example, right, is really watching like the reruns of The Big Bang Theory or Grey's Anatomy really gonna get you closer to that one goal? Is it going to get you closer to lose those 10 pounds that you want to lose? Is it going to get you closer to publishing that book you want to publish? Is it going to help, for example, if I'm doing it, because I do it, is that going to be closer to producing more content here? Is that developing myself? Or is it just chill time? Is it just relax time, right? You also have to make time to relax, which is something that is not my priority, and I do not know how to relax, but it is on my list for next year. It's not my priority from here 90 days out. From here until December 31st, I have no chill. It's not my priority. So we'll see how that goes. I'll probably burn out, but it's all a work in progress. This is what I mean. That I have all these other goals, but they're not my priority. So those things I know, the chance of achieving those goals is going to be 50%. But I know the one thing that I will achieve is to have consistent posting on this channel. I know that I will keep getting better, that I will keep developing this craft. I'm super excited about that. And yes, I want to keep losing weight. And yes, I am working towards those goals. I've built habits good enough that will keep me working on those goals while I dedicate super focus on this one other thing. But if you're just starting, become obsessed about that one thing. If you want to lose weight, when you have free time, read that podcast about the person who lost the weight. Check out all the articles about that one new diet fad you want to try, just to make sure that it's a right fit for you. Okay? Do the research, read the books, watch whatever you think, right? I say, hey, maybe binge watching a show isn't the best thing for you to get to that person that you want to be. But what if the person that you want to be review shows? Then maybe watching 10 hours of TV shows is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. What you're supposed to be doing is whatever idea you have of yourself achieving that goal. So for me, the 3 months before the podcast, I was so obsessed that my timeline now for my suggested content on YouTube is how to edit, how to create thumbnails, how to get monetized, just all these things of just how much product I consume. So it's filled with self-help things. It's filled with podcast things, with YouTube channel things. It is filled with law of attraction things, because I'm really working on developing my skills within the law of attractions. It has a lot to do with spirituality, because I'm also trying to get in touch with that. But it's just a reflection of what I've been really putting my attention into, and it makes me so happy. Not because I love. If there, I still have my dog videos on there, and I still watch my Jeffree Star and my Shane Dawson, and we can get into why it's all wrong to watch them and love them. Whatever. At this point, I'm exhausted of keeping tabs on what's good or bad. It's not that I don't care, but it's not my priority right now. Maybe I'll read on it later. Maybe you guys will sound off in the comments and tell me why I'm not supposed to like him or wear his makeup, which is very good quality, unfortunately. So yeah. Anyways, let's get back. I digress. So we've gone decide what, decide why as your number 1. Number 2, let go of limiting beliefs. And number 3, start where you are. Number 4, become obsessed and prioritized. Breathe it, sleep it, drink it, imagine it, visualize this, manifest it, baby, become obsessed. And it can be with again, the small things. I become obsessed with having a clean kitchen. Okay, that's a small goal. You're like, Chantal, come on, everybody can keep a clean kitchen. But when I'm depressed, it is super hard for me to keep that habit. So I started looking on Pinterest. I was like, tips to make sure your kitchen stays clean, right? And then I found this hack where it was you put the drying dish rack in one part of the sink so that one's always occupied to dry off things. It creates more space in your countertops, and you can only fill up one part of the sink. And if that overflows, you're going to be able to really, really tell. So it's been great. It has worked out great for us. And I'm just so proud that we've kept this kitchen clean and organized. But it's because I became obsessed with it, and it was my priority. So this is what I mean. It could be on the small things too. Okay. Now to the next one. Okay. So so now we've decided that you've started. You've become obsessed with it, but you must be disciplined. And this is why I didn't put in the title how to achieve all your goals in 8 easy steps. I'm not going to put easy. I'm not going to put simple just for the clickbait. This isn't easy. This isn't simple. I mean, I guess it could be simple, but for sure it isn't easy. The reason why these are goals is because they're going to be a challenge. If they were attainable, they wouldn't be goals. You would just be like, I'm just going to pick this up, right? But no, these are goals. They're going to be things that are going to like cost you. There's going to be good times. There's going to be bad times. And know that from point A to point B, it's never linear. All the things that I've wanted to do in my life, I could have had super bullet points like I do now about this video. And I'm still going back and forth. You can still see me here going back and forth. And I thought I'd super plan this video. And I'm still digressing and I'm still losing my thoughts and going on my run-on sentences like I am doing just right now as I figure out what I need to say. Okay. When I mean discipline, I don't mean that you have to be like a sergeant towards yourself, right? You don't have to be rude to yourself or like, oh my God, punish yourself because you didn't do something. You need to be disciplined because the best version of you deserves it. It deserves to see yourself, put yourself through all of this to achieve that one goal. Because again, the why should be strong enough that none of this matters. Then none of the hard days are going to matter because the why is going to be stronger. If the why isn't as strong, then maybe you shouldn't be doing that thing. What is the purpose? That is why you're asking why. Why am I doing this? If your goal is to become a better parent, be like, why do I want to be a better parent? Well, I want to be a better parent because, my parents failed me in these things and I think that I can have a better impact on the next generation and I think that I can learn from that. So you become obsessed with parenting, right? But you need to be disciplined. With the goal like that of being a greater parent, your kids should always be, right? Your why, ultimately. And that should trump any motivation, any hindrance. When those hard days when your teenager is, just talking back and you're just like, oh, Lord, I want to smack that child. That's when you pull from your skills. When you're that hard day, you're like, you could just be that angry parent you once were. You could be that reactive parent. You could be that parent that blames their children constantly. But you're trying to be better, right? So what do? You breathe in, you breathe out, and be disciplined with the habit that you're trying to develop. You must do the hard work. Again, goals don't come easy. So I do the hard work. I record, I edit, and again, I do all these things and say, oh my God, I do everything. No, I would love to delegate everything. Honestly, if all I can do is just set this up, record, and then send the file to an editor and an audio engineer and a social media marketing person. Oh, I would love to do that. I don't glamorize the hustle anymore. And I'll make a whole other video of why I don't glamorize the hustle anymore. But I'm disciplined. The reason why I think that when I do my best is when I'm disciplined is because I have a routine. I know if once you're disciplined, you always know what to expect. So I think that for me, it's worked that anxiety hasn't really kicked in because since I'm so disciplined, I always have a plan. I can tell you like, okay, today I'm going to do this, and that. Do I do everything? 70% of the time I don't. Well, that's a high percentage. Yes, I know I still have room to grow. And this is, again, why it's important that you hear it from me. Because I'm still putting it to use. I haven't found all the answers. I'm just telling you, hey, this is a point where you can get started. But I'm like you. I'm not that rich YouTuber. I'm not the one with the million subscribers. I'm not the one that's written all the books or anything. I'm, your girl from Cedro trying to make it through. But look at where I'm at. I think I've done pretty amazing things in my life and we'll get to know each other more. But the amount of travel, the amount of people that I've experienced, the situations that I find myself in, the networking that I've been able to create, and the conversations that I'm able to have, it's amazing. I've had great people influence great parts of my life, so just be disciplined because discipline will always trump motivation. We're not motivated, discipline has to kick in and it will kick in. So for me, there's days where I'm like, I don't want to record, but if I don't record, for example, this weekend, I was like, if I don't record on Friday, Saturday, it's Halloween festivities all day. Sunday, I'll probably be tired, and then it's Monday again. And then Monday, I'll be scrambling, and I'll have to edit and catch last minute. And who knows if the podcast will go out Tuesday morning. I can't do that. That's unnecessary stress. I don't need to put that stress on myself. I need to plan and be disciplined with the schedule. Hey, you record Friday, you have the weekend to edit where you don't have to go to work. And, you get to have more flexibility with that. So you just have to be disciplined. So I am talking specifically to those people who are like, well, someday. No, honey. The someday. Let go of that someday and just start, right? That's what we're talking about. I'm like, and sorry that I get so redundant, but I feel like so many of my friends and people that I love are just waiting for the perfect time, and it's never going to come. You just need to start. You just need to set those calendars, those alarms. Set the alarm to go to the gym. Set the calendar to, pencil in that writing time. Hey, for 2 hours on Saturday, I'm just going to focus on writing this book that I've been telling people for years that I want to write. Or if you don't want to write, or hey, maybe your book's already done. Well, look up the tools of how to publish this book. You can self-publish now. Now it's like easy peasy to have your own book. So what's holding you back? If you say, well, it's because I don't have time, bullshit. I'm going to tell you right now, you have time for a priority. When something is your priority, you're going to make time for it. Whether that's 10 p.m. at night or 4 a.m. in the morning. You're going to make time for it. Okay? Trust me. It's like when you're dating someone, right? You're like, well, you make time for the people that you really want to see. It's the same thing with your goals. The same exact thing. So show up for yourself. Let's see here. And the disciplines that I've been able to create so far. So for this, I'm getting better with the podcast. I really had to, after the second episode fiasco where it took me 2 extra days to upload, I felt so bad because I knew better. So, and that was lack of discipline. I was like, and that annoyed me. So now I'm just like, no, I'm going to be disciplined about this and do whatever I need to do, whatever I need to do it. Okay. And then that I think will definitely get you there, those things. But one of the other things that I think is really, really important, so you've already been disciplined, so you're creating a habit, and so you're getting closer to achieve the goal, and eventually you're going to get there. With those things, you're just going to get there. It's just the way that it has to work out. There's no other way, because you're putting the work into it. You're not leaving anything to chance. You are deciding that this goal is going to happen. That's already been decided. When you decided you were going to do this, and you decided to put in the work for it, you're going to be able to see it through, right? What is stopping you from self-publishing that book? What was stopping me from producing this podcast? Absolutely nothing. Turns out that when I decided to make the choice to create this, I could, and I did. So what's stopping you is my question. I don't know. I'm tired, guys. I'm tired of seeing so much wasted potential. My friends are so smart, and they tell me about their ambitions and their dreams, and I'm like, well, when am I gonna get the rough draft? You don't have to send it to me, okay? But you don't have to tell me where you're at with your plans, because if you know anything about me, is I keep my plans to myself most of the time. But just check in with yourself of where you're at when it comes to your goals. One of the biggest tools that I've learned throughout this and throughout my life is to always be a student and claim to be a master of nothing. I heard it more vividly from Jim Brown. He has different motivational speeches and things about, self-development and things like that. And he says to always be a student is going to be the biggest gift that you're going to have, because there's always someone out there who either knows better or knows different. And if you just have an open mind, maybe that person is going to get you even closer to your goal, or going to get you to dream a little bit higher than you thought you could. And more than anything, no more than always being a student, you have to be a good student. So always be critical about your sources. Always vet your sources. Always ask questions. Don't accept all the information that you receive. All the information that you're seeing in this video and the techniques that I'm giving you, you can go ahead and pull out a book. You can Google it and you can see where I'm getting all this information from. Please, please, please don't think that I'm just pulling this out of my ass. But you can do the research. You can go ahead and check out these books and be like, oh my God, Chantal was right or Chantal was lying. She did not get this and she's just really talking out of her ass. I'm not asking you to believe everything I say. I'm asking you to be critical, to have an open mind, to maybe visualize that with me. But at least, if anything, I hope that you at least go and do some research, you know, or just have a deep thought about it before you go to bed today. Get you into another existential crisis. And so always be a student. Never, never, never forget to be that. And the last tip I'm going to give you today is going to be to breathe and have fun. Breathe and have fun. I always like to think that goals for me should be fun, they should be exciting, and they should be purposeful. So I hope that whatever you're trying to achieve, whether that's to write that book, whether that's to create a family, to find your loved one, all of these little goals, to lose 10 pounds, to gain 10 pounds, to become an artist, to go to college, to decide I'm going to go solo, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, whatever it is, I bet you that if you follow these principles here, you're going to get there. Because I've been able to achieve things so quickly. And for me, the thing is that my success is not I am not measuring the big success yet, right? Like, I haven't hit these great amount of subscribers and I'm making all this money and all this shit. Nah, you know, you guys can see the views are public, but I dream bigger than that. I know that I'm gonna, get there if I keep doing with this. If this is gonna continue to be my priority, then I'm gonna get there. If my priority shifts, then maybe I won't get there. But you know that I didn't get there because my priority switched, right? And so, whatever season you are in, start where you're at. Whether, I don't want you to be like, oh, I'm gonna wait till next year to start. Why aren't you starting now? You're cheating yourself on 90 days that you could have started. You could have gotten closer to your goal. If you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna start Monday. Well, you could start today and then you'd be 2 days ahead. Have you thought about that? No. I gotta get ready. Well, you've already been waiting for how long? You need another 2 more days to get to that better version of yourself? Sure, go ahead. I'm not judging you. Totally am. I totally am. And it's mostly because I'm projecting. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I think that this is one of the answers that I've tested several times for myself and for my goals. I'm also fine-tuning these things. I've also added more things. So for me, be disciplined has been like the key thing. And I've only been disciplined doing 2 things. That's been losing weight when I lost a big amount of weight. And now that I'm doing this podcast. Those have been like the 2 major things. And when I moved overseas right after college. But I just feel like because I was able to produce and do this and learn these new things, that anything is possible. I was telling my husband, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not a runner, but I can be. What's stopping me from being a runner? I can go out there right now and start training. It's just not my priority. So for all of you that are like, someday, or once the kids grow up, or it's because I'm a mom and I'm always busy. I cannot speak about being a mom, and I'll never claim to know what being a mom is. And I don't know what that schedule looks like. But I've seen some amazing moms do amazing things following these techniques, and hey, maybe go look for them and maybe they can tell you their story. It won't be me. Because I don't have children and I don't ever plan to have children, but just know that starting where you are is fine. If you are starting, being super tired with your baby and he just took a nap and you're just like kind of seeing that one thing you wanted to do, maybe you want to go back to school, or maybe, whatever that goal is as a mom, you want to open your Etsy shop, or you want to create this. Maybe right before you go to bed, before you're just like, oh my God, oh yeah, I'm going to see how to set up an Etsy shop. Just like an overview, just an article. That one article is going to get you one step closer because you'll have more knowledge than you did before you read it. So that's what I mean. Like, you can do little things every day to get you closer. If maybe the timing, like you say, is not perfect or it's not there yet, or you're waiting for that perfect timing, do something while that timing comes. so that when that time comes, you are so equipped and ready, and you're like, I've been waiting for this moment. Look at everything I've learned. I finally have the resources. I can put them to practice. But there's always free resources out there that you can start using to get you closer to that goal that you want. You know, you can always watch that free YouTube video. You can always go to your local library, rent out a book. There's computers there. There's so many resources out there that, like, the only ones who's putting limiting stuff is ourselves. And reach out. There's always someone willing to help. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to help you out. I hope that these techniques take you on a great journey. And we're just going to go ahead and summarize. And I really think that you have everything, absolutely everything that you need is already out there. You just need to go ahead and grab it. All the opportunities, all the tools, all the resources are already out there. We just need to go chase them and be determined that we deserve a piece of that pie. Okay? So again, these are the techniques, characteristics, steps, whatever we want to go ahead and call them today. First, we got to decide what and why. Number 2, let go of limiting beliefs. 3, start where you are. 4, become obsessed and prioritized. 5, be disciplined and stay disciplined. And 6, always be a student, but most importantly, always be a good student. 7, breathe and have fun. Thank you very much for watching this video with me today. I hope it made an impact on you. I hope you get to achieve all your greatest goals. I wish you all the best. And I'll catch you up on the next video. Thank you so much for joining me.